Hi, Christina.
Hi, Alexandra. Hi,
How
everyone.
are you? Hi, Pam.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good, good.
All right, we are live. So thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. We are all set for the live broadcast stream of today's Louis committee meeting at 6 p.m. on HPA-TV Comcast and Frontier Government channels 96 and 6032. It'll also be streamed via HPA-TV.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and HPA-TV's Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon TV apps. It would also be rebroadcast and made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. So thank you, everyone, for coming today. So I'll introduce everyone. So we have councilperson, voting member councilperson Rossetti and Councilman Gale, also a voting member. We also have councilperson Surgeon. We have our corporation counsel Alexandra Lombardi. We have Director Baldwin of DCYFR. I think I said it right. We have Director Marlene Fleeting of Human Resources. We have Pam Rady. Did I say it correctly?
Ratty.
Ratty. Okay. And Pam, you'll be speaking on which item?
With the HR agenda.
With the HR? Okay, great. So yesterday, because of the meeting, we had at the city, we had Monday off as a holiday. So we had our city council meeting yesterday. So there was a referred item that was to the Louis agenda. And we want to ensure that we're able to talk about it today. And we weren't able to do it in 24 hours time, so we would need a vote in order to walk that on. Does anybody have that in front of them, the language?
I'm not sure what you're speaking of, Mr. Chairman, but I'm certainly prepared to put a motion on the floor.
Yes, there was it was item 3.1 on yesterday's agenda. Let me just, because I just wanted to
It's on your agenda already.
It is? Isn't that wonderful?
It's listed on your agenda as item 2.4.
Yes, it is. Look at that.
Mayor Bronin with accompanying resolution with
Yes.
consideration, which would approve the memorandum of agreement between the City of Hartford and Local 1716.
Yes. Thank you. So the chair will entertain a motion for item 2.4. Mayor Bronin would accompany resolution with consideration which would approve a memorandum of agreement between the City of Hartford and Local 1716. AFSCME Council 4, Local 1716.
Yes, in light of the chair's comments reflecting the city council meeting yesterday at which this was first on our agenda, and in light of the fact that if not approved by us prior to March, prior to 44 days, it would automatically be approved and there would not be another regularly scheduled committee meeting for this committee prior to that time. In order for us to adequately consider it, I make a motion that we add this to our agenda tonight.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. Any seconds?
Second.
Item has been motion and properly seconded. Any discussions? Seeing none, let's take a vote. All in favor of adding this to the agenda, say aye.
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 All right, so we approve. So why don't we just go ahead and discuss this item first? So who is here to speak on this item?
I am. Deb Caramillo.
Right. Yes, thank you, Deb. The floor is yours.
Okay, so as we've been charged in HR to look at those positions that have been difficult to either attract new people or to retain, we worked with the Public Works Department and identified the Maintainer 3 and Maintainer 4 as two positions in Public Works that recently have become extremely challenging to attract and actually even retain the employees that we have because of the fierce competition among the municipalities for CDL drivers. In 2022, just to give you an indication, we conducted 7 Maintainer 3 examinations. Each time we only had 2 to 5 external candidates actually test for the position. And in all 7 exams, we only had 1 internal candidate apply and test and be promoted to M3s. So this position, especially the M3s, has been extremely challenging. We still, despite all of this testing in 2022, as of January, we still have 13 vacancies in the M3 classification. We have been successful in filling the vacancies in the M4s, but they too require the CDL license. So we took a look at our salaries based on this difficulty in keeping and attracting employees. And what we found is that our salaries were below par with towns bordering us and even in towns like New Haven. Our current hourly rate of pay, just to give you an example, for our M3 starts at $20.38 an hour, and it maxes at $23.44. Towns like in Wethersfield, East Hartford, Newington, Bloomfield, and even New Haven have salaries that range between $25 an hour and $34 an hour for this comparable position. It's hard to say exactly if they're more like M3s or M4s just from the salaries, but they all require CDLs. So that's why we went with those positions. So based on this and our difficulty in attracting and retaining people to fill these spots, we worked with 1716 to update our salaries. We also took the time to try to create an incentive for our internal candidates, our M2s particularly, but also our team leaders, because the team leaders do not require a CDL, but it certainly is helpful for them to have a CDL. So in both these cases, we provided an incentive so that an M2 could be promoted and hopefully would come out and test for these opportunities. And we are also working on establishing a CDL program for our internal candidates. That's a work in progress that hopefully we will get up and running soon. We're just trying to work with the state and see what those requirements are as well. And then for Public Works team leader, you'll see that we also added a step for someone, if they were to obtain their CDL license, they would also get a bump up in pay. So based on this, the budget team did an analysis of the cost, and the fiscal year impact, if approved, would be, if all of our vacancies were filled, would be approximately $200,000. And based on our positions that are filled today, it would be a cost of about $166K. The fiscal year impact for fiscal year 2024 with the additional 2.5% general wage increase that is approved for all 1716 members in July is approximately $508,000. And then I will take any questions if anybody has any.
I open the floor for anyone who has any questions. Councilman Sanchez.
Yes, my apology for getting on late. I had trouble with this with the signal, and sorry if I missed any information pertaining to the question I have. And that question is this: do we have a program where we can hire and at an entry level and have a training program attached to that hiring, where they get paid, let's say the minimum payment or the beginning of pay rate, and then once they receive and pass the exams and get their CDL license, then they're promoted or their pay rate increases? Do we have some kind of program like that?
We don't have a program like that per se. What we have had in the past, and it kind of went by the wayside during COVID, is that we had an internal, a couple internal trainers that our employees could volunteer to come to those trainings, and they would basically teach them how to obtain their CDL licenses. And we would provide that at no cost to them. And then they would be able to go and get their test for their CDL. And if they were successful in getting that, if we had a vacancy in a maintainer 3 position, then they could apply for that. And usually, I can't actually think of a time when they weren't. If they applied, passed the test, and we had vacancies, they were hired.
Okay, so that's for internal
Yes.
employees. Okay, how about hirees, new hirees?
Well, but they would be employees, right? I'm sorry, I'm
Well-
not sure I understand your question.
So so basically, if we're short and we don't have any internal employees who are looking to get the CDL license, we can still hire off the street
Right,
and put them into the program. And then once they obtain their CDL license, they can move to the next level pay grade.
well, we do hire them as M2. Well, originally they come in as M1s, which is the trainee program. And then after they pass that trainee program and they get their license, because not all M1s have licenses. Sometimes they're in the process of getting just a regular license, not a CDL license. And then after 9 months, they automatically transition to the M2. And then it's these M2s that if they wanted, they could go to the program. So we do kind of have a trainee program, but not for the CDL specifically that you're speaking of.
Okay, so then besides having our existing employees work towards that CDL license,
Mhm.
what is the issue in hiring off the street?
We're not attracting enough candidates.
Okay,
like
so
we used to.
is that because of the advertisement or?
I think
getting
it's,
the word out?
I think it's because there's not as many CDL people out there anymore, and we're competing with Newington, East Hartford, Bloomfield, all the towns that are around us. We're all looking for these CDL drivers because they're a hot commodity. And then also, I think it's because our pay is so low that if they have an opportunity to go to one of these other municipalities, they are either taking that job or they're leaving our job to go to their job.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Surgeon?
I think your member, Councilman Gale, had his hand up before me.
I'm sorry, Councilman Gale?
Thank you, Councilwoman Surgeon. How many total M3 and M4 positions do we have currently in the city?
Okay, so based on the numbers that I received from budget, we have 48 authorized and funded M3 positions. And as of January 3rd, 2023, we have 13 vacancies. For maintainer 4, we have 13 positions. And currently in January, we have no vacancies. We have been successful in filling that.
Okay, and then I believe you said that the M3 position hourly range was from $20.38 per hour to $23.44 per hour. I see the new pay scales on the amended contract, but they're not in hourly. It's not broken down, at least I don't see it quickly, as hourly. Can you tell me what the new range will be upon approval of the
Sure.
the contract?
Sure. For M3, it would be $24.03 starting and would go to $27.64.
And for M4?
It would start at $27.40 approximately, because we round 4 places, so I'm just giving you the 2. to 31.52.
So, and I think you said the range for our neighboring towns, including New Haven, went up as high as $34.
Some of
an
them,
hour.
yes. New Haven is 28.71 right now.
So it must be some of the surrounding towns go as high as $34 an hour.
That is correct, yes.
So
And I
even at
do
our,
want- oh, sorry.
no, go
Councilman.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, obviously, we'd like to get up to that, but you know, we went in with a reasonable because it is costly, but they also get a 2.5% in July of 2023. So we're hoping that continues us in the right direction with becoming more competitive. So that 2.5 would be applied to these new rates instead of what was.
Got it. Okay, so the 2.5 would apply to that high of $31.52 and raise it up even higher at that point.
That is correct.
Okay, and the budget figure that you gave us upon passing of this for the remainder of this fiscal year would be approximately a $200,000 budget impact, if I understood, correct?
That is correct. If all positions were filled, it's slightly less based on our current filled positions.
When you give us that number, does that also include, besides the salaries themselves, are you also including all the benefits that go along with each position?
I'm looking at it because I did not do this. This came from the budget team. It looks like it's just salaries, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to confirm that.
So it's conceivable that if I believe in our budget book, we use a factor somewhere around 65% or
Maybe higher.
maybe it's even 67% now, something along those lines. It's conceivable that this would have an impact of 200,000 plus another 67% for benefits.
Yes,
Okay. All right, I have no other questions. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Councilwoman Surgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And some of my questions answered by Councilman Gale's question already, with the fiscal impact being a little bit more than 200,000. So can I talk about, you said the M1 position, which is a training position,
Yes,
and after 9 months, they automatically go to the M2 position.
that is correct.
Okay. What is the cost to attain a CDL license?
We're actually in the process of researching that. I know that, Pam, do you remember some of the figures? If not to put you on the spot, I remember there was a $30 fee to take one portion of the test, an $18 fee for another portion. Was there one other that you can remember?
Yes, I believe it was about $15 to take the standard CDL test, and then an additional $5 to take the air brake certification, which is required for all of our positions. And then there is a $30 processing fee for them to get their permit, and then a $30 processing fee when they go to take the performance exam for their CDL license. And before they go for their permit, they do also have to have their medical card, which can range about, I think Mike estimated about $90 to $125, depending on where they go for that. And that's just the administrative fees. That doesn't include any schooling, which I don't think at this point is required to apply for the CDL license, but is definitely helpful in them, passing the tests and exams.
And so maybe the city may cost of the city, a couple $100 to, between the medical and the fees, say about $200 to $300 approximately. I know you guys are.
Approximately, if the city paid for it. The city doesn't pay for it right now, but we are looking at ways to assist our M2s with obtaining the CDL, one of which would be to provide our own training classes. But we're trying to work with the state to find out what we need to do to get our people certified to teach.
And should we wonderfully, get, tons of people trained and CDL get their license, how long would they have to be with the city? Because sometimes, you get your license, you work with the city and then, you go down to New
Yeah.
Haven and get,
Right.
the $37.
Yep, there's no requirement that they stay with us, but we did talk about that too, possibly if we are able to come up with a program, how we would work that, like if we help supplement them, would they have to pay us back, or would we do it over, give them certain money over a period of time? Those are all things that we're trying to look at as we're building this potential CDL training program for our staff.
Okay, great. And I'm sure the union agreed to all this.
Well, we haven't talked to them about the CDL training specifics, but they know that we're looking into it and they're excited about that as well.
Okay, so you would need their buy-in to do this.
Certain things, we can create the CDL training program, and we have done that in the past. But if we're talking about, even if it's us giving them money, we still have to go to the unions with it. Yes.
Okay. And through Councilman Gale's question, you said for the M3 position, there is like 13 vacancies currently.
Yes,
Is
that's
that
the
all
number
in
we got
Public
from
Works?
budget. Yes,
That's all in Public Works.
that is correct.
Okay, so so you have, I think you said we budgeted for 48 positions.
Yes.
Okay. And because of the approximately maybe about a 0.5% vacancy, is that affecting overtime?
I'm sure that it is, but I can't speak to that directly.
So could we get some information on that? How that, affects overtime? Because if you're saying, 13 vacancy out of a 48 position, apparently has to affect something with that large
True.
amount of vacancies.
True. I mean, we've been very fortunate that we haven't had a lot of snow, because obviously these CDL drivers are the ones who drive the trucks. So that's, been beneficial for us so far.
Okay.
But yes, I can ask Public Works to get us some information on overtime.
Just, no hurry, just curious before the budget,
Sure.
before the budget comes along. And if you were to start this CDL license course, how long do you think you will take to be able to fill those 13 vacancies? Another year, 2 years?
Well,
Approximate.
we're hoping that if this memorandum of agreement is filled, that we do have a couple of M2s that are testing for their CDLs. I think they might be going this week or next week. There's maybe 2 or 3 of them. So that is exciting. And we're hoping if this passes, that there'll be more internal candidates, because like I said, in 2022, only 1 internal candidate applied for this position. So we're hoping that all 3 will pass their test and they will apply and they will get promoted. So that's one goal that we're hoping. And then also if those salaries are increased, we're hoping that we'll get some more external candidates to help us at least initially while we get the CDL classes and training program up and running. Because like I said, we do have to work with the state on it. So we're not quite sure how long that will take us.
Okay, but hopefully maybe before the next fiscal year.
Oh, yes, I would hope so.
We'll hopefully fill most of those 13 vacant
Yes.
positions.
That's what we're hopeful for.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for doing this, because part of the resolution that was sponsored by council was looking at training programs just like this. And it's awesome to retain one way of retaining our employees is being creative like this. So thank you so very much for that.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for allowing me to present tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman Virgin, and thank you everyone for their questions. I don't see any more questions. Just one comment, that it's probably the only benefits that I've ever heard of global warming, the fact that we didn't have snow, that it saves us on the budget here. I say that tongue in cheek. The chair will entertain a motion for this agenda item.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to send it to council favorably.
Yes, you are a voting member. Sorry. Yes.
Second.
Yes, strong voting member. Been a member for a while. Yes, that's right. All right, great. Motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Seeing no opposed, motion passes favorably. Thank you to the HR team for making this happen. I agree with Councilwoman Surgeon. Whatever we can do to be competitive, and also whatever we can do to bump salaries and bump wages as our economy continues to reflect inflation, and so allowing our staff to try to keep up with the times. So thank you. All right, so we're going to move this around, agenda around, because we have folks with time constraints. So I'm going to bring up item 2.3, which was introduced by Councilman Sanchez, Council President Rosado, Councilwoman Rossetti, and Councilman Gale, and Councilman LeBron. And the resolution is to evaluate the hiring practices of the city of Hartford. It's item 2.3 on the agenda. And I believe our director is here, Director Fleeting. The floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Deb, also for that presentation.
Oh, did she freeze?
Looks like we got Director Fleeting is frozen. So it looks like Deb is going to
And going to unfreeze her?
going to unfreeze her. Going to play freeze tag. I don't know if folks remember that game. I'm probably dating myself.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, Director.
Okay. Sorry, not really sure what's happening.
No problem.
So wanted to say thank you all. And we wanted to just talk about what we've done since we've had the resolution on the table for hiring. We've contracted with Lumi Hospitality, who's a marketing firm, on our position. So they're helping us with social media as well as other resources for our jobs. Currently, they're posting, and Pam, just jump in anytime and help me out here if I'm missing it, because Pam is kind of leading this. But we gave them our like harder to fill jobs as like our principal engineering job, our inspector 2 jobs. They have our traffic engineer, our civil engineer, things like that. They have not only post on LinkedIn and Facebook, they've also did billboards for us. We have cards now. We have recruitment cards that have a QR code. Pam, do you have that queued up that we can show you guys just so you can see? It is both in English and Spanish. So if you just scan the QR card, it'll bring you straight to government jobs. We're trying to make it easier for people to apply. They can also walk in, and the cards do say that as well. We meet regularly with them, and let's see what else. They're also doing mailers. We're also in the Bocita newspaper, and we're also in the North End Agent as well with our jobs. We are going to be on the Church Street marquee for hiring for Hartford. We're looking to be on the Excel Center as well as the Convention Center marquee as well, but their space is full right now, so we're just waiting for some ads to expire so we can get the city of Hartford on there. So we're doing a lot with promoting jobs, and on top of job fairs and things that the team go to, online job fairs. HR department has been a part of online job fairs as well as in-person job fairs, colleges, schools, different things like that. So the actual card that we have now, the card, do you have it, Pam?
Yes, but I can't share my screen.
Okay, it's okay
at the moment.
It's okay. I'm going to just show you guys. It looks like this, right? So we have the city of Hartford. We have it both in English and Spanish. The QR code is here, and you can scan it. And can you guys see?
Yeah, I mean, I can, if someone wants to,
I can send it.
I can make someone the host if it needs be. If it's just a car, it's up to you, Director,
Yeah.
whatever you need.
Well, no, I just wanted you guys to see what we were doing. We do have the cards. We'll send some over to your office. We'll bring some upstairs to your office as well so you can see them. And we're distributing them to different city offices, not only in City Hall. We're distributing them to where we have public facing. So HHS and DDS and all types of city departments. So we're doing a lot with trying to recruit and also retain, but we're trying to recruit talent and try to fill some vacancies. So Pam, did I miss anything with that?
No, I mean, other than we did recently meet with Channel 3 to see what they could offer us with we are hiring Wednesdays. And Lumi was able to be present for that to help us use their demographics and see if it's going to work for what we need for the city. And then we're still looking into working with Lumi to create some bus ads and possibly some radio ads and more TV ads as well. So those are in the works with Lumi right now.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, Director. Thank you. Thank you both. Councilman Sanchez.
Yes. So how about training within the departments for promotions? Where are we at with that?
Trainings for within the department?
Within the different departments, yes, so that there's promotion, so that there's some upward mobility, and then those vacancies below can get filled out from folks in the streets coming in.
Well, I think that we do trainings just in general, like even if you look at HR, our analyst is pretty much a trainee position. And then once they're here for a year and they've gotten, because it's entry level, you don't need any experience behind your belt. You have to have a degree, but you don't have to have necessarily HR experience. So you come in, you learn everything about the city, you learn HR, different things like that. After a year, you can promote up to a senior HR, right? And throughout other city departments, you have people that maybe they start as an admin and then they're working their way up to a senior admin and then they're going to a principal and then they're going, so we see that all the time. Departments are working within to promote because we love to promote from within. So we encourage every department to do that. Of course, we have to hire external sometimes, but we work hard to promote from within.
So I guess my question is that has each department developed a program for their employees within each department for that promotion?
No, I can't say we have a program. We have our day-to-day, what they do. They know that if they're an admin, their next step is a senior. Right? They know that if they're a senior, their next step is a principal. But I can't say that we necessarily have like a program outlined for that.
Is it possible to create a program or at least some kind of manual that'll show each employee where they're at in the position the role they're playing, but what they can do to improve themselves? Whether it's a lateral move to a different department or upward mobility promotion within that department that they work in. Can we implement a program, a standard program, at least to start with, so that they know they can have that movement?
We can work on something, Councilman. I'm not really sure how that long that something like that would take. What we do, just so you know, we always in departments are always encouraging people to apply for, if they've been at the job for enough time to promote up, right? And we always encourage departments to let them know that. We also let employees know that. Going to a specific program, we could look into what that would look like, how it would, what the logistics of that would be. So I can look into that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilwoman Surgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just following up with Councilman Sanchez, I think what he's thinking is having a succession plan for each position in the department.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman.
Right, well, that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah, because basically, if I want to go from a planner 1 to a planner 2, what kind of succession plan do you have? For promotion and a roadmap laid out for these individuals for advancement and retention in the city.
Okay.
So I think that's what he's looking for. And it's maybe not maybe it's not your job, but requiring the department to send this to you.
Yes, it would definitely
Well-
be something from the departments.
Right, but
Yeah.
something where, I agree with Councilman Sanchez is that, if you have a succession or plan work out where, in year 2, 3 years that, as your family grow, your salary will grow because there is a plan there to get you to another, and you are willing to work harder and stay longer, in government for this, because working for government is serving the community. So I think in the private sector, succession plans are done. And I think that's something government should consider doing also.
Yes.
So my questions, I remember 2 budget years ago, one of the things I asked for the department to do was a job description. Because one of the things, our job descriptions are maybe like 100 years old.
Mhm.
And so again, as you look at hiring, your job description is gonna, because it's 100 years old, I think, and I have not been able to prove this, but I think it certainly, keeps a lot of minorities out of that job field, because this job description was written 100 years ago. So, I don't know what your cost is to hire this marketing firm, but I know there must have been a cost to hire the marketing firm. So if we can hire a marketing firm to go out there and promote those most difficult jobs that you are looking to hire, shouldn't we also take a look at the job description at the same time and see what we can do to bring it up to the 21st century?
Yes, we're looking at what we've done, because I agree, and we did talk about this as far as the job descriptions being antiquated. What we've done is, because I know prior to me, it was talked about before, and I believe it was so, and you can speak to it, I wasn't here, but I know it was like this big process, and it required the team here at HR to come in, and a lot of the HR's team, because the firm that came in knew nothing about, they didn't know about the cities. Like they can, you can know about like a specific, you could be an expert at something, but no matter what that is, you still have to know what organization, that you're working with, what they require and things of that nature. So I think that was a difficult challenge. But what we have done, and that doesn't mean we're not going to look into it, but what we've done, because instead of waiting around, what we've done is, to date, we have 24 job descriptions that have been updated. We've added 4 new job descriptions as well, working with the unions, because these are things that, if we see something, Deb works really hard with the unions and changing job descriptions so we can attract or maintain and recruit talent, but so we can promote from within. So some of the job descriptions that we've changed as far as altered so people can have upward mobility. I know we did some in DPW for the supervisor, right? I know we did a few of them in HMIA, like senior project manager, the project manager series, which have been a challenge in DES as well. So that job description is used throughout the city, the project manager series. And so development services, HHS, a lot of people were having issues and problems with people qualifying for that job. So we worked with the unions and made, we changed the qualifications to get more people qualified for that job. So things like that we do all the time. We're doing this, it takes a while. Deb is doing working like crazy with that, but we have come a long way with that. Now, granted, we do have a lot of job descriptions. So to take on an overhaul of doing all 200 or so, we would need some help with it. But so that's something that we'll look into. Deb, I don't know if you want to give a background on the challenges with that. Not to put you on the spot, but.
I think just what we have said in the past is that a couple of times, not during my tenure, but companies were hired and they did the updates. But then when it came time to negotiating with the unions, the city wasn't successful in bringing it home. So what we have done since May is we've partnered with the departments to identify some of those critical positions. that again are either critical for what that department's focus is and what their charge is, but also critical in the fact that we haven't been able to attract or retain people. And so we've taken those job descriptions first and made them a priority and have updated them. So some of those are like, we created a new call taker position in ES&T because we have found that while we were hiring trainees, that some of them are great candidates, but they're maybe not comfortable on the more stressful positions in ES&T, like the fire position or the police positions. And so we worked with the union to create a new call taker position. And so those people who maybe are hired as a full dispatcher but don't make it, instead of them necessarily being let go, they can go into these call taker positions and then they work on the EMS position or the 311 position. And so that's a different way of looking at things and hiring people and working to be creative. And so we created that very critical position. We worked on it for quite some time, but we were finally able to bring it home. I think it was in May or June of last year. So that's just one example. We've also looked at Inspector 2 with the DDS department, and we've made many changes to that. We actually had to go back for a couple of tweaks on that one, but the unions worked with us on that, and we've successfully changed those qualifications to open it up and also to increase that salary to make us a little bit more competitive. So that's just a couple of samples of some new and creative things that we're trying to do and try to create some positions that are more focused on what their needs are instead of some of the generic ones. I mean, we're always going to have to keep the generic ones, but like Marlene said, we did work on updating project manager, senior project manager, principal admin analyst that I used across all of the city departments to try to make it easier to attract and get people in, and then also for internal candidates to promote, because there were some barriers in those minimum qualifications, like maybe supervision that they couldn't get if they were in a lower position here. Because if you're in the lower position and you're not supervising, but you've been with us forever, then that means you can't go to here. So we've eliminated those from those classifications. So now our internal people can promote up. So that was I think a big win for all of us as well. So those are just a few examples.
Oh, great. And just, excellent. Just want to ask you, Director, to add to your marketing firm as they are out there marketing. You know, the council just passed a grant program for city employees of $10,000. So that's a help in marketing. You know, you become a city employee and you buy a job in the city, buy a home in the city, you know, so that's a good tool to help you with your marketing of jobs. So, you know, you can talk to DDS and get more information, but the council just passed that a couple months ago.
Okay, thank you. That is great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Sturgeon. Wonderful idea. Councilman Gale, followed by Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director, I wasn't clear. Had you finished your report at this point?
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned this firm that's been hired, and I'm not familiar with the name. Can you spell the name for me?
LUMI.
Okay. Oh yeah. All right. I've heard of that. And do you know the amount of the contract? What? How much the city is paying for Lumi's services?
Yes, Pam, you want to answer that one for me?
We are paying them $7,500 a month to include all of our marketing, the social media and the off media ones as well.
Is that just as a pay as you go, or is there a 12-month contract or a 15-month contract?
We had already had a contract with Lumi because they were working with development services for some of their advertising for things like the Domingo event and things like that. So the city had a contract until March of 2023 with the option to extend annually for, I believe, 2 more years.
So this 7,500 a month is through March of 2023, and then we have the option of.
We'll revisit it at that point.
Okay, and where's Lumi located? Do they have offices in Hartford or in Connecticut?
Yes, they just moved to a new office in Hartford. I don't have the address off the top of my head, but they are located just down the street. They could walk to the city hall. So.
Okay, so in terms of the resolution that's in front of us tonight, the resolves in this ask that the administration provide recommendations to City Council regarding potential amendments to the municipal code that could streamline the hiring process. Have you folks been able to identify anything in particular that would be helpful in streamlining the hiring process?
We've done some things to date. We've made the PRC process easier. That's so while we did that, so we made that process easier by just doing backfills. Instead of the departments having to bring the backfills to the PRC, they can just automatically have the approval from budget to, if they want to refill a position, they don't have to wait and go to the position review committee. They can just go ahead and do that. We've also combined.
Could you just expand on that a little? I apologize, but I think we all need to hear what the PRC is again and have a little bit better explanation of what was the process and what you're saying is now changed.
So the PRC is the position review committee, and what we do is that's when a department wants to fill a vacancy that they would have to go up to the mayor. So through HR. So they would come to HR. They would say, okay, Mary left and now I want to backfill Mary. She was a project manager. So they would tell what their needs are. They would put it into a form, and then we would go up to mayor and during the personal and finance meeting every Tuesday, and we would present on that department's behalf before backfill, right? Because now Mary has left, retired, now we want to backfill that position. Now instead, what we've done is streamline it and make it more easier for departments. They no longer have to do that for backfills. They can just go ahead and backfill their position instead of having to go through that process by putting in documentation, waiting until we present on Tuesday. Then we get back to them, Tuesday afternoon. And so we did that to make it easier and more efficient and effective for them. So that was that was something that was good, and they appreciated that. And then I'm sorry, are you okay with that one? Are you clear on that?
Yes, thank you. No,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then we also combined certification lists of multiple vacancies to minimize the redundancies with that.
I'm not sure I understand fully what that means. So expand on that a little
You
bit.
can talk on that one, Pam. Pam is civil service.
So basically what was happening previously was the promotional list of promotional candidates were going first. And then when we would get the results of that, then we would send the open competitive names. So it could take a process. By the time it gets to the department, they have 5 business days for the candidates to reach out to them. Then they still have to interview, make decisions, send the list back to us, and then we create another one. So to help streamline that, depending on the number of vacancies and the number of promotional candidates on a list, we would combine the promotional name. It is still separate, so the department would know that this was an internal candidate, but we would send that list up with the open names at the same time. So the department was able to see, if there was only one promotional name, they were able to see that one promotional name with 5 or 6 open competitive names as well. So they didn't have to wait any time period in between that to get a second list.
Okay, so these streamlining measures you've taken internally, they don't require any action by council. Have you identified anything that we could do to help you in the streamlining at this point?
Yes, we are working on that right now. We're actually very close to finalizing and sending recommendations to you. We're just reviewing it with leadership and hope to have that to you very soon for consideration. But we have identified a few areas that we're looking to change, like durations of lists. Just to give you some examples, the banding process, how many names go up, those types of things. And we're reviewing them with leadership, as I said, next week. And so hopefully we'll have something to you very, very soon. But we have identified a handful of areas that we hope would streamline the process. And then also, besides streamlining the process, give the department heads more weight. We would still, because we're required to be civil service, obviously have to determine whether someone meets the minimum qualifications, but then give the department heads a little bit more flexibility on who they interview from those lists.
Okay, well, that sounds exciting. So there'll be something for us to look at. And so tell me, I believe there was a point in time when we were looking at vacancies and there were over 200 vacancies citywide. Where are we with vacancies today?
Today we are at 170, I believe. Yeah, we're at 170, but take into consideration also to date, we have from July to January of this year alone, we've hired 94 new employees, and we also promoted 51. So when you promote, then you're going to have a vacancy.
So 94 new hires means that we've lost a number of people as well, I take it. Either is this from retirement or they just moved on to better jobs?
It's a combination. A lot of people are leaving to, a lot of people are retiring. A lot of people are, looking out there at the job market and trying to get better. And we, at the end of the day, we just can't compete with the state when we're losing a lot of people to the state of Connecticut. And at the end of the day, it's just not comparable. It's not apples to apples here.
And is the main factor in which we're losing out salaries?
It's one of the main things. I wouldn't say totally salaries, but tax salaries is big. They also they have the option now to work hybrid. They have the option, like it's the employees market, if you will, right? Why come to a job where if you can, you have to work 8 hours a day inside 8 to 5 when you can make more and work 3 days a week from home, so it's tough. We're working on ways to attract talent still with that being out there, but between the salaries with the state, between the benefits with the state, between the hybrid work schedule with the state, it is tough. It's very tough.
So sticking with vacancies for a minute, are you able to identify the departments that have the highest vacancies?
Pam, do you know that? I don't have it off the top of my head. Do you?
I don't necessarily have it off the top of my head. Police is definitely one of the largest. And we are recruiting more now than we ever have. DPW does have a significant amount as well. But I think other than that, it's pretty spread out. I don't know if there's one department that is struggling any less than the other one, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we had a sense that DPW was struggling on the maintainers, as we just saw with the change in the union contract. And I know that a couple of months ago, we did the same thing with the police hiring, went in and amended the police contract to up our starting salaries to try to get more competitive there. So I guess we're in fits and starts. We're identifying areas where we can try to make some progress. Overall, though, going from 200 vacancies to 170 doesn't sound like great progress. It's progress, but it's I think we would all love to see more dramatic progress, but I understand the problems. Last question on the job descriptions that you spoke of. I believe Director Fleeting, you said that there 24 job descriptions had been updated, but I believe you mentioned a figure of somewhere over 200 job descriptions in total in the whole city. And that in order to update those, you would probably need some outside assistance. Have you put together or obtained any cost estimates for what it would take to bring in that outside, let's call it a contractor, outside contractor that would assist in updating these job descriptions?
No, I don't have a cost put together for that. And again, too, we have to talk to unions. We have to figure out what we can do with the whole thing. I mean, it's a massive undertaking, and we would have to deal with unions first. I believe, we don't want to go and hire a firm without making sure that we can do the job or get something done, something accomplished. So it's a process that it is on our radar and we have to do. So we will look at all logistically how it can be done.
Yeah, and I certainly appreciate that. And I would think that when you look at it, if we move in that direction, that the contract would specify that whoever comes in to help out understands they have to work with the unions to gather information before they move forward with changing any job description, so that it's not a wasted effort. I would, and I would imagine that I would probably be joined by my other council colleagues in asking you, in preparation for budget season, to think about an actual number, a dollar amount, what it would cost, and what the time period would be. So, a 12-month contract at $100,000 to do this, or maybe it's a 24-month contract, or maybe it's whatever. If you could think about that and be prepared with some numbers for budget season, I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councilman.
Mr. Chair. I have no other questions.
Yeah, so just a couple of things. I want us to be mindful of time. I think two things. So first of all, I want to be mindful of time. We have other agenda items here. I also want to introduce Majority Leader Clark, who's here. I know, Councilman Sanchez, you have one more question, then we'll go to Majority Leader Clark. I will say, Director, I think in the spirit of everyone here, we want to provide as much support as possible as council persons and working out in the field. We understand the landscape, so we're here in partnership. And so, just a la orden, as they say in Spanish, just let us know how we can be helpful with these things, because it is a variable market, and we understand the challenges. So, Councilman Sanchez?
Yes, so it's just an ask and a quick question. So if an employee does not qualify for a position, but is still maintained within the department, what other avenue does that employee have to look forward to a promotion? Or do they have to qualify, for previous positions before they move up the ladder?
I think it depends on what specific position are you referring to, right? I mean, if you have an admin assistant trying to apply for an inspector, right, then we want to know that inspect that position, you're going to need license, and you may need to go to school. You may need, some credentials behind your name before you can apply. So if you apply for a job and you don't have any training or any background in that field, then you will be deemed unqualified. So in order to qualify, you have to do X, Y, and Z, which will be provided to that person if they were to ask. And that's for any position, right? If you don't qualify, like Deb mentioned, we eliminated some barriers. So we had, for the project manager series or whatever, how we eliminated that supervisor role for some, and changed it so people could qualify. So I guess I would need to know like specific things.
Well, I have no specific, but so basically just a standard question, but let me use this for an example. So let's say in DPW, for example, you said there's M1, M2, M3, right? Mm-hmm. So do you have to qualify for M2 before you move on to M3? And if you do, and you can't qualify, is there another avenue to get a promotion in a different field within the DPW?
Well, okay, so if you're M1 after 9 months, you automatically become an M2, right? In order to
Okay.
be an M3, you need to have a CDL, right? So we're going to be working on CDL programs and things of that nature to be able to assist candidates or internal, candidates and external. But however, if you are M2, right, and you apply for M3, you didn't get qualified because you don't have a CDL, but you want to, I don't know, you want to do something else. You want to try your knack at a team leader or something. There are qualifications for that role as well. We don't deter anyone from applying for jobs, but if they don't qualify, we'll give them what they need. We'll tell them what it is. We just don't say you don't qualify and that's it. We're going to give them what they need to be able to promote up.
Okay, and then can you provide counsel with the data of the employees in each department, the demographic of that department, as well as the promotion of the demographic?
So the data, you want the demographics of each department.
Yeah, right, and the promotion within using the demographics. And how soon can you do that?
Maybe by next week. Is that doable? You
Sure.
think is that a big undertaking? Let me ask Pam. I don't want to say something that our assistant director is going to be like. I don't want to say something that's not true. Pam, is that too soon? Do we need a couple of weeks for something like that?
No, I can get it by the end of next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, one more on this item. I think Majority Leader, did you still have your question?
Yes, Mr. Chair, through you, thank you. It's a quick question. If it's too lengthy, Director Fleeting, please feel free to email me. I just had a question. When we're talking about the workforce and obviously the city not being competitive with the state, benefits always comes to mind regarding what the city offers to its unionized and non-unionized employees. Is that something that the city is working on? Because the benefits package has changed. I know the city has gone to a high deductible health plan, which has been said that has been very costly to certain employees. And that there's, and with the union contractual agreements, there's more that's been asked for the union members to contribute. And I know that some folks have talked about going back to the PPO days, which I know that there are certain packages that are available. Just all in all, is that something, a better package, insurance package, is that being looked at so that we at least can be competitive with maybe some of our neighboring municipalities or even the state from the benefits perspective?
No, and Deb, you can help me here. I don't think that I know that we're not I don't want to say entertaining, but we're not looking at the PPO right now because we have the high deductible health plan, and contractually that's what's been negotiated in the contracts. So, that's where we are in the contract phase of it. I don't know, Deb, is anyone even looking at PPOs now for upcoming negotiations? I don't believe so.
No, we have not been given direction to change our benefits package at this time.
Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up question, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Okay, understandably, because we have contractual obligations to our unions. What about the non-unions members, the unclassified personnel?
Well, that's something that we would have to have direction from mayor to look into.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question, Majority Leader. And I just want to preface, Director, we're all trying to just find ways to help, in any way.
I appreciate
Yes, I don't think we have to vote on this. It was just an update. So Director Baldwin, I want to apologize to you, but I think it just makes sense we have another HR item. And I want to apologize to you, Director Baldwin. Time has gotten away from us, but I think it just makes sense to go to item 2.2.
Absolutely, no worries.
Yes.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
through you, Mr. Chair, I think I had an agenda item, which I think a lot of it was talked about already in the
Okay.
HR. So
Okay.
for the, to save the time of everyone, if you want to just do that, move that item, because it was just really a conversation to next month meeting. So therefore you
Yeah,
can
sure.
would that work for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think just in terms of time, the training program,
Right.
and I think it allows the director to,
Right.
maybe chew on it a little bit more for another
Yeah.
month. So
Okay.
we'll move. Thank you, Councilwoman Surgeon, for that. All right, great. So thank you, Director Fleeting. We'll move the item. Do we Attorney Lombardi, Council Corporation
need to-
Counsel
You do need
Lombardi,
to
do we
make a
have
vote
to
to postpone
we
it.
have to make a vote? Okay, to postpone it.
Postpone
Okay.
it. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Entertain a motion.
All right, I move that we postpone both items 2 and 2 point, wait a minute, 2.2.
No, we just have to
Um,
move. We just have to postpone one, Councilman Gill.
Okay. Well, we're leaving item 2.3 on the table.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and we're postponing, I move to postpone item 2.2.
Okay. And a second. I second. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, great. Thank you, Councilwoman Surgeon, for that, and Majority Leader Clark. All right, so Director Fleeting, you're welcome to stay on. I believe the last item, 2.1, is Director Baldwin. HR team, if you guys want to stay on, you're more than welcome. It's a happy party here. But we'll move to item 2.1, Mayor Bronin with a company resolution authorizing the city of Hartford to accept a grant of $640,000 from the state of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development for the Hartford Youth Service Corps. And I believe Director Baldwin, you are here, so you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I actually have a very brief presentation.
Oh, sure. Let me give you the screen. All right. So I guess I make you the host. Okay.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. All right. You are now the host.
Thank you. And it's just very brief. I just wanted to give a visual on what I was sharing.
We love visuals. We love visuals.
So do I. Are you able to see the screen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you again for allowing me to be here to speak. Super excited to share with you that the City of Hartford Department of Families, Children, Youth, and Recreation received a grant from the state of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development to support our Hartford Youth Service Corps program. As a very brief overview of what the Youth Service Corps program is, it began back in 2016 when the mayor committed to partner with our community in order to find ways to reconnect our disconnected youth and to set up or establish a Hartford Youth Service Corps program. So in partnership with our piece of the pie, the city of Hartford worked collaboratively to create a citywide youth service corps program that offers young people the opportunity to participate in paid service learning projects, as well as to receive essential life supports, workforce readiness, academic supports through the community-based organization OPP, who serves as the community-based implementation partner for the Youth Service Corps. So the young people, they provide service corps projects in the neighborhoods that they work. A lot of those projects are two-generation approach of projects, and not only are they earning a paycheck, which we found with our young people, particularly with Opportunity Youth, is such a critical element to what it is that they need, but also to provide those essential growth opportunities through their own personal and professional development. Very briefly, the Youth Service Corps offers, they pair each young person with a youth development specialist who does an individual success plan. So it's a very sort of comprehensive success plan for that young person to gauge their skills, their abilities, their strengths, and whatever their future aspirations are, so they can help them build off of that. Some of the perks of being in the Youth Service Corps program is that it provides a full year, 12 months of continuous employment while they are enrolled in the program. They receive 350 working hours per youth per year, and they earn a wage of $15 an hour currently. They have the ability to be able to help the community that they live in, and they also have access to educational and life skills supports. And then they receive individualized and personalized employment with caring adults that can help them with their professional development goals. So this grant was a really exciting opportunity. In last year's legislative session, Mayor Bronin advocated for the state to implement a statewide Youth Service Corps program whereby other communities could replicate the model that we established here in Hartford. And the state legislature did that through the Department of Economic and Community Development. They released a grant to the community in October of 2022 that required a municipality to partner with a community-based organization to either establish a Youth Service Corps or to strengthen an already existing Youth Service Corps. So that is how DFCYR came to apply for this grant in partnership with our piece of the pie. We were subsequently awarded the grant in the amount of $640,000, and that the state informed us that that could be spread over a multi-year period. So that will be spread over a 2-year period. And the purpose will be to expand our existing Youth Service Corps program. So we'll be able to serve an additional 54 additional youth. And also will allow us to hire the youth development specialists to provide those services and supports to those young people. And these are just a few highlights of our Youth Service Corps program since its inception in 2016. These figures are good through the end of the past fiscal year, so they're good through June 30th of 2022. So you can see that over 1,500 youth have been served. 366 of those have been justice-involved youth. 89% have demonstrated positive behavioral change, and that is determined by their individual success plans that they came up with. And they have completed over 1,700 community service projects with over 306 partners in the community. 73% have been promoted to the next grade level. That would be of the youth that were enrolled in school. 84% of out-of-school youth who did not have a diploma were able to re-enroll in school, and 67% of youth that were out of school with a diploma or a GED have enrolled in post-secondary or certification program. And this is all since the program's inception in 2016. So you can see down on the bottom left-hand side that over $5.8 million have been wages have been earned by Youth Service Corps members. And 72% have attained employment as a result of their participation in the program. So as you can, these are some of our wonderful Youth Service Corps members. You may have seen them around the city. They do a lot of various projects. These young people look like they are doing some landscaping help and support probably for some residents. So we are very, very excited to be able to say that we have been awarded this grant, and we hope that you will consider it for approval. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director. So I'll open up the floor for questions. Any questions? All right, Councilman Gale.
Yeah, I don't have any particular question, Mr. Chair. I just want to compliment the department. Thank you for the presentation. I love metrics. And so thank you for all the metrics, because that would have been my question is, program has been around since 2016. What do we have to show for it? And there you do. You beat me to the punch on it. So that's great. I do hope that you can forward that to the chair so it can be distributed to all council colleagues. And other than that, keep up the good work. I have certainly seen these youth service corps folks around town and greatly appreciate what we're doing in that regard. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'll definitely share those metrics with everyone.
Yeah, and then just Director, just CC Lydia Cologne to make sure that if you're gonna just email me, make sure you CC Lydia Cologne and she'll make sure everyone gets it. All right. Any other comments, Councilwoman Surgeon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got a question here from a constituent who's actually watching our committee program. This is great. I love this.
Yes, that's always wonderful. Increase our viewership.
Absolutely. So the question is for the Louis, okay, there's 640,000 is slated for youth service corps via OPP. Please advise as to how the remaining 460,000 of the 1.1 million will be allocated. That's one question.
Do you want me to answer? Go ahead and answer that first.
Go ahead, and okay, go ahead.
So we applied for the 1.1 million, but we were only awarded the 640,000. It's my understanding that the remaining funding was awarded to another community in the state. I'm not sure if that information is released publicly yet, but out of that, the full allocation that Hartford received was the 640,000 out of that 1.1 million.
Okay.
Hold on, Councilwoman Surgeon.
Sure.
On the resolution, Director Baldwin, on the fourth whereas clause, it says, whereas the Connecticut has awarded funding to the city of Hartford in the amount of 1.1 million.
Yeah, that looks like.
So is that a typo?
Yeah, it looks like that's a typo. Yeah, that was the application amount. Under that first resolve is the actual correct grant amount. So I guess I don't know, Attorney Lombardi, I'm not sure how we would need to go about amending that.
Well, we can certainly.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry.
No, corporate Attorney Lombardi, please.
Sure. So it can be sent back with that recommendation that it be amended or corrected, and a substitute can be offered at the meeting where the body would take action.
Yeah, I would also, Councilwoman Surgeon, I apologize. It's just because of this item. I think what would also be helpful for all of us is the award letter. Just to have a copy of the award letter. Or does the state give award letters, Director Baldwin?
I believe
in terms of its relation with the city, because I'm looking at the full thing and I don't see the award letters. Now, typically we don't normally see award letters, but like if we could get another 460,000 from the state because they sent us an award letter that said so, I'm more than happy to accept that 460. And I would imagine all of my council colleagues would as well for a clerical error on their part.
No, there's no clerical error on their part. I am looking at the official award letter from the state. So it is the 600.
All right. Just wanted to make sure if there's, we're more than willing to accept it at the city. Councilwoman Surgeon.
Mr. Chair, you were going through exactly what the constituents had emailed me on what happened to the 460. Right. So you picked it right up. So kudos to you for picking up what the constituents saw on the resolution. So they're okay. They also wanted to know the RFP. How was OPP the implementer? Is there any other organizations within the city that was bidded for this implementation of the youth service corps for jobs?
Yeah. So as spoke about in the beginning, and the program was created as OPP, as the implementation partner. So back in 2016, I believe Mayor Bronin convened a working group around this of community partners that discussed about how they could best implement this type of citywide youth service corps program. And it was at that time that it was determined that OPP would then become the implementation partner as an organization that has the capacity, ability, skills, and expertise to be able to have a program of this magnitude and size. So it wasn't a program that was already existing that we would have put out through an RFP process, but rather it was created in tandem and collaboration with OPP as part of that community review process from its inception.
The next question, Director Baldwin, is you said about 5 million have been allocated for the youth. What was the total cost of the program? 5 million out of what? Out of 20 million?
So I would have to go back and pull those numbers. I don't have them off of the top of my head. The youth have been paid a total of 5.8 million. The vast majority of the funding needed for the program goes to pay those youth wages. But I don't have the number for the total cost of the program since its inception in 2016. I have to go back and
I think that's what the committee would like to know. Over the last 6 years, what was the total funding of, from the city of Hartford as an implementer of this youth service corps?
Yes, sure, definitely. And I think it's important to note that the program is supported by multiple businesses in the city, right? Private entities. So it has a list of funders and supporters.
Sure. But it's always good to see how much money is actually really spent, with the total youth within the entire city of Hartford. As we hear that, at least I hear, the community say, we're not spending enough money on the youth program. What are we spending? So it would be really good, if we can see over the last 6 years, whether it's city funds or whomever funding these programs, what has been spent in really our youth program in the city?
Sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to research that and provide that number back to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So this question isn't for Director Baldwin, it's for Attorney Lombardi. Attorney Lombardi, oftentimes there is processes that are awarded that there are thresholds. And so I believe Director Baldwin explained that the genesis of this was a 7-year, like a collaborative effort from the neighborhoods. But just to make sure, for full transparency, Attorney Lombardi, is there can you provide us, or if you don't have it now, that's fine, you can email us, the legal technical knowledge that allows the continued use, I know I'm not phrasing it well, but like the ordinance or the legal language that allows RFP processes such as this one to just continue as such?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Councilman LeBron. Right. I'm happy to touch base with you, tomorrow, unless you want to rephrase it now.
Yeah. Let me rephrase it. I'm sorry. Sometimes I spitball, and as you can see, I'm not an attorney. I may play one on TV sometimes. Director Baldwin stated that with this grant, there wasn't an RFP process because of the genesis of it and the creation of the partnership. And so no RFP process was created for the allocation of the youth service corps. Is that backed in our city legal statute somewhere?
Yes, I think I better understand your question, Councilman LeBron. So that would be in our procurement ordinances. It sets forth the process when the competitive solicitation process is triggered versus those instances, and there are several where you don't need to do a competitive solicitation. So I can touch base with Christina and find out more about the reasons why this one didn't go through competitive solicitation. Could have been a sole source, could have been because of amount of contract. I don't know enough to give you a firm answer, but yes, it would be in our procurement ordinances.
And then, yeah, so thank you. And then if you could just email that to me and Mrs. Cologne, and then we'll get that out to all the committee members once you guys land on the specific procurement statute.
Happy to.
All right, cool. All right, so seeing no other item on the agenda, I'll take a, yes. Oh, no, we have to
How
accept.
about a motion?
Yes.
How about a motion to
Yes.
send it back to council so we can get the money?
Right.
So I'm gonna,
Yes,
I'm gonna
that's a
move that
good one.
we send back to council with a favorable recommendation, this resolution as amended in the whereas clause to as per Corp Council. So move to send it back favorably as amended.
I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, let the record reflect.
Now we can adjourn.
Now, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I hate to be a party pooper, but did we lose some of our voting members? Do we still have
Yes.
a quorum
Yeah, we
of
still have
A
quorum.
quorum
Yeah.
under council rules is two.
It's two.
two? Got it. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. All right. And not a party pooper, just definitely making sure that we do everything correctly. So thank you, Attorney Lombardi. So with that being said, there are no other items on the agenda. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Peace and love.